Sometime late this fall, Conrad Beehart will finally discover his identity and purpose in life. The amnesia-stricken star of Flashback returns, minus the amnesia, in Fade to Black, the latest masterpiece from French developer Delphine Software. If you're one of the many Flashback fans who's been dying for a sequel, you're in for a treat. That is, if your computer can handle it. The mass exodus to 640 by 480 VGA games has begun, and Delphine is more than up to the task. Fade to Black's Polygon engine will support 3 graphics modes, including VGA, which can be switched on the fly during the game. Hoping for a little more information, I chatted with EA's Matt Wolf, who talks regularly with the guys at Delphine.
Originally where Flashback left off was that Conrad, the main character of the game, had destroyed the last base of these creatures called the Morphs, who were planning on taking over humankind. Well, he annihilated that base and escaped in a small escape capsule, was catapulted into space and went into cryogenic sleep, where he rested for about 50 years or so. Where Fade to Black picks up is actually the intro cinematic sequence shows this capsule floating through space, and Conrad is now narrating third person about himself in the capsule. And he says that he's been floating in space for 50 years, and that, of course, he is alone now, but in space, nobody is really alone forever. And that's when the Morphs once again find his capsule, his little cryogenic, sleep capsule, capture it, bring it aboard their mothership, and the story really starts when you first see Conrad, and there's all those Morphs around him. They look kind of like nasty lizard guys with guns.
Rather than using the all-too-familiar first-person viewpoint for Fade to Black, Delphine opted for an angled top-down view which lets you see Conrad and everything he sees. The fast Polygon engine also allows for super smooth scrolling and quick, seamless camera changes. You can control Conrad's head independent of his body and look to the left or right to see who's chasing you. Believe me, something always is. Like many of the new breed of PC games, it's tough to categorize Fade to Black as an adventure game, action game, or anything else. There's enough different stuff to do that one category just wouldn't do it justice. We have to come up with something, though, or else we'll all be fighting over the review copy when it gets here. Here's what Matt has to say.
I think that this is an excellent example of a game really showing the potential and the ability to mix a thinking person's game with a real action and twitch-oriented action-adventure kind of game. And what I mean by that is there's always sections in the game where you have to just blast things and run forward, and it's very reaction-based and oriented, and you're constantly seeing things pop up and taking aim and quickly shooting without thinking. But you can't progress through the game unless you use your brain, unless you solve these intricate puzzles that come up, unless you collect these pieces of information to know where to go at a given point in the game. Because in each mission there are several submissions, and these submissions are just that. I mean, you get information and intelligence through a communicator that you constantly carry, and as you read these messages, and as they're actually spoken to you, because all of the written word in the game is also speech. So as you hear these messages and as you read them, you're collecting information, and then you go carry out those missions. So, you really need to use your mind and also your reactions and your twitch-oriented gaming skills to move through the game. And it's a great combination, it really is. It really complements each component, unlike some hybrid games that I see come out that don't do that.
Nonlinear games are all the rage nowadays. And why not? Gamers want games that let them go where they want to go, when they want to go. Limits suck. Delphine knows this, and although Fade to Black is by no means one of those stringer games that just put you where you're supposed to be, there is a definite sense of order to the game. Matt elaborates.
The game itself has a linear storyline in that there is a beginning, middle, and an end, and things progress. But within that passage of time, there are also non-linear sections where, for instance, in order to get from point A to point D, you can go to point B or point C to get there. So you can run around in any order you want as long as you're in a submission. And that's great because you have, again, we are all on the cutting edge of this sort of non-linear entertainment, but you need to give a player some sort of structure to be able to move through a game and still make heads or tails of the story. So we're able to give them the freedom of non-linear movement within a architecture and a framework of some organization so that they can move through and still feel like they're actually moving ahead.
Few games can boast the true three-dimensionality of Fade to Black. Enemies are tougher to hit when standing sideways, objects appear different from different angles, and for once a game that allows you to duck and jump actually makes good use of those features. Also worthy of note is the Save Anywhere file system, which is really necessary for a game which hides something around every corner. Who needs real life? Like Shaquille O'Neal coming out of college to enter the NBA, Fade to Black is virtually assured of stardom in the PC gaming universe. It is in many ways the ultimate adventure game. Heavy in combat, but supplemented well with great puzzles and mind-blowing speech and sound effects. And there's 6 different levels, which is more than I got the opportunity to play and take shots from. Hurry up, Delphine!